how did you start Prime AC and Heat? What was the founding story there?
I always thought, as an entrepreneur, I always thought, man, I need to do something for myself. I need to build something, not just what was built in me. And I have to go out and attempt to build something here.
What would you say is like the toughest thing you faced as a business owner or as a business?
The hardest thing, honestly, over the years, I think the last 4 years have really brought it to the forefront, which is bringing the right people on board.
All right, welcome to another edition of the Superpro podcast, the heartbeat of home service excellence. I'm Roland Ligtenberg. I'm your host. I'm also the co-founder of Housecall Pro, and I'm an advocate for all the hardworking pros out there helping make our homes better, safer, and more comfortable. Through Housecall Pro, I've had the privilege of supporting hundreds of thousands of pros just like you, empowering you all to achieve more, stress less, and redefine success in our industry. I've got an amazing guest today. I'm super excited. We're joined by Jorge Bacallao, the owner and lead contractor of Prime AC and Heat, based in Louisville, Texas. George started the business in 2014 as a solo tech and has grown it into a multi-million-dollar business. He's got a team of 9 with 4 vans and 3 trucks on the road. His goal for this year is to hit $4.5 million in 2025. He's got a ton of knowledge to share with us. He's got hands-on expertise. He's got strong leadership. He's also done some cool digital marketing. He's got his own YouTube presence. He's got 4,000 subscribers. That's why he's got the fancy podcast set up. And so today we're going to dive in and ask him a bunch of questions. George, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Ronald, man, thank you so much for having me on the show. Glad to be on here and glad to be able to share our story so far because it's not over yet. I feel like we just started this journey, and glad to give you some feedback here and just tell you how we're doing.
Nice. No, I'm super excited. Let's kind of take us back a little bit. Let's rewind the ticker tape. How did you start Prime AC and Heat? What was the founding story there?
Well, man, if I have to think back to what really got the idea to start this company, I think it was just a combination of working for other companies and seeing what worked, what didn't work for them, and I always thought, as an entrepreneur, I always thought, man, I need to do something for myself. I need to build something, not just what was built in me. And I think that's really what started it. Was one day we're just me and the wife, which is the other owner, Edith Bacallao, and we're sitting there enjoying some barbecue. If you believe it, I'm going to tell you actually where the name came from too. And we're eating some prime rib, and at that moment we're just talking about where we were at. Yeah, where we were at in our lives, and it got to the conversation of like, well, this is it. We have to give it our best foot forward, and that's really what kind of started. It was just always having the mindset of, man, I have to go out and attempt to build something here.
So, I mean, look, you've been at it for just a little over a decade now. And
Yep.
so you started as like a solo guy in a truck, obviously your wife as your partner from the beginning, or did you kind of entice her into the business a little bit later?
Oh man, Ronald, are you married?
I'm married, yeah.
You know the rules, man. That's a partner for life in anything that we do. Business,
That's awesome.
personal. But she's a very big part of this business and why we are so successful, because she's the other half of me. I'm very eager to try new things, do things, and make decisions. And she's the level-headed one. She's the one that looks at everything and really makes the plan come to life. So she's been a partner since day one as well. And yeah, that's very blessed to have her as a wife and as a business partner as well.
Yeah, I think some people are like, I'll never work with my spouse. And then the other half of the people are like, oh my God, I could not build my business without my spouse.
Yeah.
How do you guys manage, if you guys have like disagreements, how do you manage that kind of relationship? Like, who wins? Is it always her, it sounds like, or is it a mix of both? Like, how do you guys do that?
Man, communication is key, number one, I would say. That's at the core of everything, how you communicate,
Hmm.
Communication is key, but it's a back and forth. We have a lot of discussions always. We have kids, so we have a personal life as well, and this is our baby as well. So there's always discussions on how we can improve everything, and it's just a back and forth. And sometimes the ideas are really good, and we give it a try, and it could be coming from me, but sometimes it's her ideas, and we put it to play. And the great thing about an open communication relationship that we understand that not everything will work. And when stuff doesn't work, we were able to overcome that. And, there's really not a lot of arguing because we both have the same mindset. We're both understand what it takes to run a business.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is you both have the same goal, which is growing the business. And I think that both
Correct.
people trying at that same goal really helps align stuff. And honestly, I don't feel like there's really any failure. There's just failure to learn. So like it's okay if an idea doesn't work out, but at least go like, okay, I know what we're not going to do this time, or I would have changed X, Y, or Z, or let's give it another shot. And
Oh
I
man,
think a lot of people are like, man, the people that have made it must have made no mistakes. So it's like, no, they probably made way more mistakes than you can even imagine.
if you're not making mistakes, you ain't growing. That's the motto I live by, man. I I'm a little bit different, Ronald. Whenever there's something that didn't go our way, right, or something that's very hard, man, I my mind thinks different. My mind says like, well, this is it. This is a growth opportunity. There's something in this failure and this hard time that we're going through that man, the light is literally just out there. It's just we just gotta cross this bridge. So the more we fail, man, the better I'm feeling about how we keep growing.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing by talking, I spent so much time like with lots of entrepreneurs, but really what sets them apart is just like even when times are really tough, there's always like some little hidden nuggets of wisdom. There's something there that's going to help you move forward. And so you focus on like finding those great things rather than thinking about like, oh my God, this is a friggin' disaster or like, whatever the tough time is. Or sometimes
It,
really tough slow seasons, where you have to make some difficult decisions and let people off, maybe because you made a mistake in cash flow management or what have you. But speaking of setbacks, like what would you say is like the toughest thing you've faced as a business owner or as a business so
well,
far?
it's yeah, by far as we are growing and scaling the business, and but let me tell you another nugget here is that we've always lived by the turtle wins the race, right? We never went off and got tons of loans and wanted to be the biggest right off the gate, because we have a long-term vision. Our long-term vision here is to create a legacy where people want to come work for and customers know the brand and know that they can rely on in a shop locally here. So we've lived by that model. But the hardest thing, honestly, over the years, I think the last 4 years have really brought it to the forefront, which is bringing the right people on board. I think as any company goes into that growth mode and they're scaling, you're only as good as the
Hmm.
people that you hire. And the people that you bring on board day one, you think, man, this is it. This is the guy or girl that's going to be here for the end of the life, of this company. Sometimes it doesn't work out, and I think that's the biggest lesson that we're learning is bringing the people here that see our vision, that want to grow this company for what it's for. And I think that's been the hardest thing is just finding the people, letting go of the people that weren't as good or we thought weren't as good, and just trying to get to there. I would say that's the hardest part. The easy answer, I would give you another answer, by the way, if you want to hear another answer. I'd say the easy answer
Shoot.
would be capital. When you're scaling the company, you need money, right? You need capital to be able to invest. You need money to be able to advertise, especially where we
Mhm.
live at in our little market. I want to say we're like in Dallas Fort Worth is 11.3, and you might correct me if I'm wrong. It's $11.3 billion market share that we have just in our little area.
Wow.
And you have a lot of PEs that come down here and they're buying companies left and right because the market is just so big, right? So to be able to compete in that space, you need capital. You need people that are good to be able to deliver what you're trying to do, but you need the capital. And that I guess that's not a difficult thing. Is just since we've never, when we were growing our business, we never went out and got loans. Like I mentioned, we always try to operate debt free. So when we're scaling the business, it's decisions that we talk about. Like, okay, this is a hard decision because you need to
Yeah.
borrow money to be able to grow the business. And I would say that would be a second part that's a little difficult.
Yeah, and I think too, and for those that are listening that are like PE what? So private equity, they come
Sorry,
in and they'll
sorry.
buy up shops, and
Yep.
private equity comes in, they got big money, and so they'll come in and they'll outspend you on lots of different things, and or they might spend up the cost of certain things. So digital advertising, whatever, you're competing for that first slot, and if they're setting really high bid limits on things, they're gonna bleed you dry if you're not careful and if you're not being thoughtful about it. But depending on how
Yeah.
you're running the business, especially if you're debt free, you can incur a little bit of debt and trade it for a little bit of growth, as long as you do responsibility. But it's never easy, because they're all kind of decisions that you have to make, and you really have to make some calculated bets here and there, to compete. But ultimately, I think what it comes down to, and you alluded to, it's all about the people and having
Yeah.
great people working for your business, because that's really what's carrying your name forward. Where are you finding these people, George? Like, are you training people from scratch? Are people coming in with experience and then they're learning, the prime way? Or talk to me a little bit about that.
You go to Indeed, you go to ZipRecruiter, you go to Facebook. I mean, you just look for people. And I would say the first batch of real employees that we got in, they came in from those avenues, the ZipRecruiters, the
Mm.
Indeed. And
Hmm.
those, they work out really good sometimes, and other times they don't. So we found right now where starting fresh and bringing new techs, and teaching them, like you said, the prime way, teaching them, what the new market calls for. Technology has changed. The old school mentality is no longer there. You got to be tech savvy. You got to be HVAC savvy. You got to know a lot of things that somebody that's been in the trades for 20 or 30 years, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's really hard to switch that gear over to how businesses run these days. And
Yeah.
that's the hardest. So for us, we've had a really good mix. We have a technician who was with us for about a year and a half now, and he came out straight out of high school, I'm sorry, straight out of trade school. And
Yep.
he has great attitude, man. He's willing to learn, and he's learning the new way of doing HVAC, and he's had tremendous growth. Customers love him. The way that he diagnoses with all the new tools and tablets and digital stuff, I mean, it just makes his job so much easier. And I think that's really the best way is having new people in the field that have no idea what HVAC is, and then really trying to grow them into the trades, opposed to looking for people that have been in the trades for longer periods of time. Those are very harder. They're just hard to swap over to the new way of doing HVAC. So that's what we have
Yeah.
more success with, is finding the younger people, and we do have some very seasoned comfort advisors and some seasoned technicians here as well, because you need that too. You can't just have you can't just have new blood
Yeah.
and expect them to know everything. But we try to stay within the newer range. So if you've been in the industry for, let's say, 3 to 7 years, that's our ideal candidate. Those are the ones that are, they have some experience, they have some knowledge, but there's still much more room for them to grow. And I think that's what
Hmm.
we've been focusing on, is bringing people on board and trying to build the company around them, giving them the opportunity to grow within the business, have a career that they want. I always preach it to my guys and say, man, I want you guys to build the life that you want here. I want this company to give you everything that you want. You want to buy a first time, or you want to be a first time homeowner. You want to buy that car. You want to take your family on vacation. You want all of that. Like, I want this company. And that's what me and Edith are doing every single day. When we come to work, that's our number one priority, is what can we do for our guys here?
Yeah, I think, just that within itself is a huge golden nugget, which is really being that servant leader and showing people that, if you can help them hit their goals, things that they're looking for in their life, then they'll do great work for you. And not in reverse, where they think, oh, I'm working and, George is sitting there in his castle, and he's just, billing out at X and paying me Y, that's not going to last for that long, if that were the
Yeah.
case.
Man, and I tell you,
Yeah.
you can ask every person that works here at our company. I worked as hard or harder than they all do. When they're outside or they're working late in the evenings, I'm there with them. Literally a phone call away. I can never disattach myself from being in their positions because I've done it all, being the service tech, the sales guy, the dispatcher, all of that. So I know those roles and I know exactly what it takes. So when my guys are out working, they can always call me, they can always text me, and they know they got that support 24/7 too.
Yeah, I mean, I even that within itself speaks volumes to kind of like the leadership and culture you guys have there at Prime, because if they know that, they always feel like, you've got their back. They'll also go that extra mile too, knowing that like, oh no, George is there. If I need him, I can reach out to him versus them being like, oh, I'll call it a day and I'll go back tomorrow. And all of a
Yeah,
sudden you got a second truck roll, you got all these added costs. And so I think even those small things like that just add up to efficiency, add up to culture, just like making sure people go that extra mile, and that's what gets you those 5-star reviews, which you guys have been doing really well on.
man, that's important. Customer service is number one. You know the motto, right? Customers are always right, and whether they're right or wrong, we have to always go above and beyond, and that's very big. Every meeting we have here is it starts off by saying, "Hey, how can we improve our customer service?" That's that's
Mm.
what we strive for. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good tip. That's a good tip. So speaking of growth, you guys are obviously doing really well. You got some big goals for this year here. It's still early in the year, and I know that most of the growth is going to happen in the summertime. Although Texas, I guess, is year round, really. But what are you doing? What's your marketing strategy? Where are people hearing about Prime? Like, where's business coming from? Talk to me about your lead sources.
Awesome. Yeah, man. With growth comes an opportunity to explore different avenues. And I think we talked about it earlier with PE, we can't compete with those companies. We can't compete with, the private equities that come in and spend millions of dollars for marketing. So what we have to do is we have to be creative. We have to go look for customers in other avenues. So we started a YouTube channel last year where we're uploading videos of the guys doing installations, doing repairs, and trying to showcase to our customers or our potential customers when they're searching for services like, I don't know, AC repair. And then we show up,
Yep.
you see our guys doing a repair on an HVAC unit. That builds some trust already. They put a face to the name. They see how we work. They see how our guys are clean and how they're, go about doing that repair. So that's something that we've explored last year, and that's helped tremendously. And we've built a very good following. We're up to 4,000 subscribers. And we market that in our area. So, when we're marketing our YouTube channel, we're marketing just in the area that we work in. Because that's important too.
Hmm.
You have to be able to tie that back into an actual customer. We're not a YouTube creator. We're an HVAC company that we're trying to provide that information. So that's been really good. We've had tons of great success with that. Customers calling us for services for HVAC installations. So that's worked out really good. And not a lot of companies in our area is doing that. And hopefully they don't see this video because then they'll get the great idea. But that's something that,
Yeah.
that we do. That's helped us generate some new customers. Obviously, we do a lot of marketing with Google, our best friend who has no limit to how much money they want to
Yeah,
take.
they'll take it all
Uh,
if you give it to them. Yeah.
Exactly. And then, we do branding as well. We do Facebook. We're in Yelp. We're across pretty much every, online space that you can possibly think of. We've been in there. We haven't done commercial. We don't do billboards. We don't do yellow books or yellow pages. Again, I think this is just to, reiterate what I was saying. The technology and the ways that people find us now is totally different. And it changes
Yeah.
every year. It changes as technology advances. I mean, look, I had a customer the other day that literally found us through Chat GPT. Let that sink in
Wow.
for a second. I
Yeah.
mean, the guy
Uh-huh.
literally went to his app and said, "Hey, who is the top 10 HVAC companies?" I think that's what he said in my area, and I think we were like number 4 in that list, which was amazing. And he
Hmm.
called, went down the list. We were the first ones to answer. We were the first ones to get in the door. And boom, we have a customer. We have a big project. And that's different. No one's going to the yellow pages. No one's going and really looking at the billboard. So we're trying to put our marketing campaign towards all those digital avenues. And the more that we do that, I think this just eventually will help. The biggest one is
Yeah,
Google.
look,
I think we know that.
Google's big. I mean, when it comes to Google, Google's looking at all the things that you're doing on Google, and YouTube happens to be a big part of, or
Yeah.
YouTube happens to be a big part of Google. So, as you're doing that and you're just recording installations near Louisville or installations near whatever, and you're doing that, remember, the AI computers, they're smart. And if you're getting engagement on those, that's when you're going to start showing up for those ChatGPT searches, which, by the way, I forget what the latest stat was, but you can look at it on your phone's, top downloaded chart. It's been there. It's been there for a long time. It's coming. It's taking away search volume. So people are like, how do you rank on that thing? Well, it's very clever, but you've got a big footprint online, which, George just said he does, which is, you got to be in the places where people might be looking for you online. If you do that, then there's more arrows pointing to your business. So think about creating more arrows. And I love that golden nugget because I don't think enough people are thinking that way. And even if there are people in your local area that are doing it, I think George's got a huge lead in his area, definitely based on his subscribers. So he's in no danger of getting knocked off of that horse. But if you can be the first in your area, start sooner, start now. Just do it. Just put stuff up. You don't have to be a YouTube star. You don't have to have fancy cameras or lighting. Use the camera that you got right in your pocket. Just you can upload those things there. And it doesn't take a long time, especially if you've got like a system for it.
Yeah, agreed.
So tell me a little bit about, you guys started using Housecall Pro a couple of years ago, back in 21. What made you finally, you've been in business for over a decade. So what made you finally go like, all right, we got to get like a system in place here? What caused you to look and where'd you find us? How'd you hear about
Uh-huh.
us?
Well, what caused me to obviously, move over to House Call, we were using a smaller program called Joist.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just another little program you can download on either Android or iPhone. It's almost like Jobber. I think if you
Yep.
read of, yeah. So it's just a very
Simple.
small
Yeah. Simple.
platform,
Yeah.
simple, very simple. And at that level, at 2021, we were growing so rapidly, and we were getting too many customers that for one or two people, it just wasn't going to cut it. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't professional enough. You had to jump through a lot of hoops to really like find your customers, then invoicing it. It was just to that point where our company outgrew the software. And so,
Yep.
obviously searching for it and trying to figure it out, with our vendors, they had so many recommendations of the, equipment specific CRM. And, I've never been tied to my vendors because I want to pave my own road here. So just went to Google and looked up, hey, scheduling software or something like that. And I
Uh-huh.
believe you guys
Popped
popped
up.
up. It was your other competitor. You know who I'm talking about. It's the other. It's two. You
Yep.
guys are the two heavyweights. There's only two heavyweight softwares out there, and you guys are one of them. Which is, I
Yep.
love you. I love the software. And when I first logged in, I mean, it was, man. I was like, holy moly! We went from driving or riding a bike to driving a car. I mean, it was just next level. And the one thing I will tell you, Ronald, that I love about House Call, this is to brag about you guys, is you're constantly updating stuff, man, that in the back of my mind, I've always been like, man, if they just had this, man, if they just did that. And then like I wake up the next morning and it's like, boom. I'm like, damn, they're tapping into my phone. They're hearing me. Like, what's going on? But um, when that's what made me switch over to you guys was just I needed a platform that allowed me to continue to scale the business with customers. It allows me to scale the business with employees, tracking them, keeping documentations, credit card processing, the
Mm-hmm.
built-in financing for our service techs as well is huge. And man, the maintenance programs, like being able to sell maintenance programs to our customers. And then when you guys added it, I think it was a year and a half ago, you added the automatic discounts to the service. I mean, that
Yep.
was just huge too. We're like, man, if we just automatically did that, that would save a step. And boom, yeah, I did that. And so, that's what led, honestly, for us to find a different platform, just a software that allows us to continue to scale the business. And you guys have done that.
Yeah, no, and I think like you highlight something really good there, which is, you want to move with something or move into something that can grow with you and grow alongside you, and that's constantly being updated. Because if there's anything true in the technology field, is like, stuff moves so fast, and so there may be other cheaper, smaller, simpler platforms out there that kind of work, maybe not, but long run, you need to partner with something that can actually continue to update and has the I'll just say like the finances in order,
Yeah.
the engineering horsepower, because everything's just going to accelerate. Um, And so that's interesting. I feel like your story is shared by a lot of pros. So if you happen to be out there and you're listening and using, like an Invoice Simple or a Joyce, that's a great starting place. And for sure, like that's a step up from triplicate paper, 100%.
Yeah.
And you can run a great business for quite some time. But
Yes.
then, yeah, once you have more and more folks, things get more complicated, and really you want to start tracking stuff more. You guys just recently started using like the video upload feature. That was like a new one that we recently
We
released.
yeah, we were just begging, begging to finally get that into the to the software, and
Yeah,
because
yeah,
the other heavyweight has it, and we're like,
yeah.
man, that's game changing. Being able to upload videos to your invoice when the guys are out, man,
Hmm.
it creates a different level of transparency with the customer that a photo just doesn't do. You leave the house and they get the invoice and they click play and it's like, hey, I'm standing here at uh such and such at 123. I'm looking at the condenser and the condenser is making a loud noise. Like they know now that, okay, yeah, that's exactly my unit because I know that
Yeah,
noise.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that was huge, man. And when we got it, I mean, we even have, like, when we've hired a couple of new techs that have had experience with house call, and
Hmm.
they've had experience with
Hmm.
the other software out there, and they come in here and they see that we have the ability to do that. They're like, what? Like, no other companies that does house call, they don't have this. And I'm like, it's because we're special, that's why. But all kidding
Yeah, you're
aside, when
super
they see,
pros. Yeah, that's right.
yeah, man, when they see that, then they know, they're like, okay, yeah, this is a legitimate software, because it
Mhm.
creates that transparency that you need for the customer. And I love that. It's a great feature.
Yeah, and the honesty there too is when you're transparent with your customer, they will automatically presume your level of professionalism is just so much higher because there's nothing to hide. And that's when
Yeah.
they're gonna be like, okay, George and his team are legit. It's also great CYA, cover your ass. When people are like, oh, you're just making up that it was that thing or whatever. No, no, no. You have it, you document it, you have it there. It keeps your technicians safe. You don't get into the he said, she said kind of things. So I think there's just like so many great benefits to just documenting your work, pictures, now videos. Obviously, video files are massive. I have a 10-month-old daughter, and my phone is like blowing up from all the videos. I'm like, I didn't realize how big all these videos are, because like in 4K, all of a sudden it's like gigabytes and you've recorded 10 seconds. It's like a
Yeah.
lot of data. It's data heavy, but worth it, right? But worth it.
Yeah.
Um, what would you say, like, all right, rewind back to 2021. What's one feature of Housecall Pro that you're going to be like, George, Edith, we got to do this from day one?
Google's integration, where
Mm-hmm.
CRM is tied into our Google business profile, which allows us to then, automatically send review links to our customers, which helps build up the reviews even further and faster.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Before that, it was, hey, Mr. Homeowner, did you like our services? Yes. Okay, I'm going to send you a link later. Make sure to click on it. They'll never.
Yeah.
This happens instantaneously. You hit finish, boom, they get the link. I mean, we've even integrated more steps for reviews, but I would say that's the biggest one. And no other, well, lower tier program is going to allow that to happen so quickly. And then being able to
Mm-hmm.
tie them together, the Google
Mm-hmm.
Business Profile and the CRM. Again, to
Yep.
your point, the AI knows all this. They know that this is a legitimate company. This is sending it through here, and it allows a lot of good data to go between the two. I would say that was probably the number one thing I would look back and be like, man, the reviews are probably the most important thing, especially as you're scaling. It's hard to scale
Mm-hmm.
when you have one or two reviews. There's not a
That's
lot
right.
of trust there for you yet.
Yeah, and honestly, it's one of those things where it's like, man, I wish I would have saved, $200 a month when I was, 1 year old, because that turns into like, tens of millions of dollars, by the time I retire.
Yeah,
But it's the
yeah.
same. Look, it's the same with reviews because the sooner you start, the better. And when you connect your House Call Pro account with your Google Business Profile, you get the reviews. Plus, if you're using our online booking, you get the online booking link, which is a blue button that's really big that no other profile has, or very few probably still in your area. So you stand out automatically. you can't yeah, you can't say like how important that is because
Yeah.
you got to start somewhere with reviews, but like start building that up from day one and make it really easy for customers that see your Google business profile to book you too, because those two things come hand in hand, or call you, whatever it happens to be. But I'll tell you, more and more people are just booking online and they click those buttons, and it
Yeah.
happens real quick.
Yeah. And that's a great point with House Call, man. And that's why you guys are, again, the heavyweights out there. You have these features that allow companies to continue to grow and scale. That's huge. We love the online booking too. The fact that they can go online, pick specific timing, then it assigns it to the
Yep.
tech that are available. I mean, all of that. It's just streamlined
Yep.
to being able to provide amazing service to our customers.
Yeah, and I tell a lot of pros are like, well, I don't know about online booking. What if like they pick a time that doesn't work or whatever? It's like, just wait, because otherwise they're just calling down, and then whoever picks up first wins.
Yep.
But this
Yep.
way, when they book online, they schedule something, they schedule a time, it sends a confirmation. They stop looking around, and let's say it doesn't happen to be the perfect time or the perfect. Maybe they picked the wrong service. Who knows? Right, but like whatever it is, call them up and say, "Hey, George, I saw you that you booked at 8 o'clock. Actually, my technician is going to be in your area at 2 o'clock there, and I'll be able to give you the close neighbor 10% discount or whatever it is," right? And they'll be like, "Oh, great, no problem." But remember, you would have lost that booking if they were going down the list of stuff, and so but now you kept that revenue. So you got to keep in mind, no, it doesn't have to be the perfect time, the perfect price, the perfect technician. You capture that job, and as really like a lead capture versus letting a competitor get to it. Because each time a competitor gets to it, you're building them up, right? You're
Yep.
building them up. Same with phone calls, because they're going to take it, they're going to convert it, they're going to try to sell something, whatever it is. And now they're going to have more money to put at marketing. It comes back at you.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah, for
Oh man,
sure.
I did 100%. That's the game. The game is to capture that customer that calls. I mean, without breaking it down, every customer that calls in costs the company money, and where it
Yes.
came from costs even more money. I mean, there's where are you advertising? Are you advertising on Google? Well, shoot, that pay per click is, again, I mentioned it earlier. It's an unlimited amount of money that will take from you if you let them. If you get a
Yep.
lead from Yelp, I mean, those are at $130
Same.
a or I mean, it's expensive for a customer to, one, find you, and then number two, contact you. So why wouldn't you want to have that customer locked in with something like online booking? We love it. Online booking to us.
Yeah.
I wish every customer went online and booked online. You know how much money we would save on a phone bill? Like,
Oh
it
my
would be
gosh.
great,
Yeah.
man. I love it. And that's an amazing
Yeah.
feature. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of phone calls, do you guys use the new VoIP that we have, the voice, which
Yeah.
ties like all of the stuff, so you can record the conversations. Like, tell us a little bit about why you why you chose voice as like something to implement in your business.
Man, well, before we were using VoIP with y'all, we were using Ring Central, which is another great platform. But
Hmm.
again, this is the beautiful thing about Housecall Pro, is that integrating everything under one software and streamlining the entire service just makes it so much easier. So when we switched over to voice, you guys were barely coming out with the oh man, I forgot what they call it, the answering service, but it was something else.
Oh
It was
yeah, that's called Pro Assist. Yep,
that's
the
it.
humans answering. Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So we combined it. We switched over to y'all with the phones, and then we went to the assist. And answering
Hmm.
service or answering service. They'll never really be able to replicate like the company
No,
100%. But the
that's right.
fact that with the phone lines, we're able to, switch it between the answering service or our live representatives. We can interswap, like if we put a customer on hold, swap it over to another team member. The text messages that we get through there, then being able to get all of our tracking numbers. I think we have like 20 something tracking numbers that are all scattered throughout all of our different marketing campaigns, and then they all route back to the same company number. I mean, these are next level things. And again, I'm probably talking now to the one truck guy who's starting his business. I mean, these are all super important things so that you can capture every customer that you want to capture. That's if you want to grow the business and if you want to provide, services to as many people as possible. If not, then
Yeah.
this service doesn't really matter. But it's a very critical point of the business. Almost every big company or every legitimate company out there has to have a way to track and manage the phone lines, and with the services here at House Call with VoIP, man, it's perfect. And once we switched over to y'all, we haven't looked back. And I wouldn't even consider looking at any other answering service or phone line services.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are like, tracking numbers, that sounds complicated. 20 numbers, why would I ever need 20 phone numbers? But I think, as you start to grow your business, you want to know where traffic's coming from. You want to know, are your flyers or door hangers or, whatever you might have out there, start tagging your digital media with different ways so you can start to really understand where people are coming from. And also it gives you optionality to try new stuff without getting everything tied to the business owner's phone number because a lot of people start out that way and then they have a hard time back to back out and they have to port that number off the business owner's phone. And then, they go through this whole struggle. And so if you start with one phone number, if your technicians are calling the customer, you can set it up so they're all calling from the company phone number versus their personal cell phones, right? Because you never know, you might have the best culture in the world, but maybe a technician ends up leaving and now all of a sudden they get all the calls from the customer. So there's so many other things, going on behind the scenes that get taken care for you, taken care of you. Yeah, both ways actually. That it just helps, it makes it a lot easier to scale for sure.
Man, and I'll
Uh,
tell you with the call recording, because you kind of touched it a little bit. I think
yeah.
that's massive, massive, massive for customer service, Ronald. I would say because we listen to every call that comes in and listen to
Mhm.
every call that goes out. All of the technicians, the CSRs, the dispatchers, whoever makes a call through the company number, that call gets recorded. And that's so critical. It's critical because it allows us to then review how that customer interaction was with that particular employee. And then you can train them. You can say, hey, this is how we talk to people. This is how we show empathy. This is how we help our customers, help our community, all of that stuff. I can't tell you how many times I'll go online and I'll just watch videos of other people or other contractors. And I'm like, the mindset of like, oh man, heck no, if that customer did that, I would, oh man, like every customer that has a bad interaction is an opportunity for you to go and turn that customer into a happy customer. So having the ability to listen to those calls through the phone line, through VoIP here in House Call is massive, massive, massive. And if we didn't have it, man, I don't think
Yeah.
we would be scaling at this level. Not even close.
Well, coming on the pipeline is CSR AI. And so for pros that are looking to answer calls after hours or even during the day, I know that once, the heat hits triple digits, even if you've got a bunch of people handling phones, you want to capture all of those, with a voice, you'll be able to send them after three rings. If it's not answered by a human, boom, send it to CSR AI. Because, these are just opportunities where, you're spending money out in the world. Somehow they're getting to you. Don't let them slip and fall in the cracks and let your competitors get them. There's no reason why you shouldn't have built up at least a couple of layers just to help yourself
Yeah,
out because you never know what's going to
have
happen.
to.
You never know what's going to
You
happen.
gotta have a safety net. You gotta have a backup to a backup, man. That's just the way it
Yep.
is. I'm excited.
Back
When
up to
when
back up.
that feature comes out, I'll be definitely intrigued to trying it out and seeing how it can help us as well, man. Because again, for us, summer is literally maybe 32 days away.
It's
That's how
coming.
I'm viewing it. Yeah.
Coming quick, coming quick.
Yeah.
George, you shared so many good nuggets. What does it mean to be a part of like a community of other super pros and other House Call Pro users?
Man, it's critical for being able to see what ideas work, what don't work. I love the Facebook page where I can see the struggles, I would say sometimes, of other contractors
Yeah.
and features and seeing what, what they've went out and looked for. So I really do enjoy being part of that community. It's a really good chance to, again, just communicate and connect with people that have been there, done that, and anything in life, you always want to look for and get advice from people that have done it. It's hard to ask
Hmm.
for advice and ideas from people that have never crossed that bridge, never made it that far. And so being part of a group where other companies have made it further than we are and seeing what they're doing and what they're working, man, I'm always intrigued. So it's a great to be part of that group.
Yeah, and I think like some people go like, it is a little lonely, in the trades. It is because it's just me, and I'm in me and my helper, or it's just us two. Like, you don't have that big company feel where you can like collaborate, social water cooler,
Yeah.
talk a little strategy, talk shop, and so a different part or different angle of Housecall Pro that we want to make sure we can empower and champion all of our pros to success, no matter how big or small. And
Very
so,
true.
if you're not part of it, you happen to be listening, you want to be a super pro, go check those things out. There's some requirements. It's free. You get access to fun new stuff, just like George does. Um, like video recording on things, and there's all new features that kind of come out. Is there any last tip, George, that you would leave to your younger self? Maybe rewind a decade ago. What would you tell young George either to do, or would you tell him not to do?
Invest in Bitcoin, dog. Invest in Bitcoin. No, but in all seriousness, if I have to look back at a younger me, I would just say, uh, man, take take a little bit more risk in the beginning. Look for softwares like Housecall Pro earlier. I think if I would have joined you guys, in 2018 compared to 2021, I think we would have been probably having a totally different conversation. So I would
Mhm.
just say, you know, I'm proud, man. I'm proud. I'm proud of my wife. I'm proud of this company. I'm proud of what we've achieved so far. So it's hard to say I wouldn't change anything. I love the story and I love the roadmap that we've been on so far. So if I just have to say something, I would say maybe just push a little bit harder here and there. But most of it has been really good, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
What a great answer. Thanks so much, George, for coming on the Super Pro podcast. That was awesome. You shared so many good golden nuggets. If someone wants to reach out or hear about you or even subscribe to your YouTube channel, where could they find you?
Man, YouTube at Prime HVAC. Can't mess it up. Prime HVAC. And, if they go to our Facebook, it's the same deal. It's at Prime AC and Heat or Prime HVAC. And, yeah, if you guys watching this and you go to our channel, man, I'm always intrigued to hearing people comment and seeing what they want to see us do and different videos. So thank y'all. And Ronald, thank you so much for having me here on this podcast. It was fun, man. I appreciated it. Enjoyed the time here talking to you as well.
Definitely. Well, appreciate it as always, George, and we'll stay in touch. Thank you all for listening to the Super Bowl podcast, and stay tuned in for next week for another edition of Super Bowl podcast. If you like this, please make sure to like or leave us a review. Definitely subscribe. I don't know if you're watching YouTube, listen to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you may find us. Thank you guys. All right.
Thank
Out.
y'all.
The Superpro podcast is brought to you by Housecall Pro, the leading platform for the home service industry. Housecall Pro streamlines your workflows and simplifies everything from scheduling and dispatching to communication and billing. Unlock the full potential of your home service business with Housecall Pro. Work smarter and more efficiently with streamlined workflows and detailed analytics. Win more business and serve your customers well, every single time. Join more than 40,000 home service pros who have already revolutionized their businesses. Work smarter with streamlined workflows, get organized with centralized information, and scale your business your way. Learn more at housecallpro.com.